All right.
Hello, welcome world. Happy Monday. Welcome to Divine Masculine Mondays. This is your co-host, Ben Believes here. John is joining us on Instagram as he comes on. Wherever you are in the world, let us know how you guys are doing, where you are coming from, what city you are in. We see you, Cameron, Warren, Augustine. It is Monday. We're going to be talking about how to get out of your head into darkness, into the light, into some possibility. Because it's been a rough couple of years for us. Let's be real, right? John is coming in here, and John, you request
Yes, I
your
did.
life. Okay, cool.
All right.
So as he does that, let us know again where you're coming from, and tell us what's one thing around darkness that you deal with in your life. Like when you wake up in the morning, what's the number one thing you struggle with during your day? I see Jolt is in the house living the classical life. This is great. Okay, John, how are you doing today?
I'm wow. Wow. Just vortex explosion, feeling great.
Explosions,
Man, it
love it.
is insanely awesome, beautiful life. Yeah. So that's where I am today.
I loved hearing that, John. John asked me what I wanted to talk about today. I was like, getting out of darkness into action. Like getting
Yeah.
into action. That's really what I talked about. And it's right there for me. All my clients. I was talking to my mom about it, who's been depressed. I've been depressed. I've been grieving again, coming home to Tennessee, being with family, facing all those dark spaces, those things from my childhood with my sister. Like all the fucking triggers are here. My wife was having a meltdown, not sleeping for days. There's a lot of stressors coming at us. A house for sale that landed in our laps, auditions, right? All these things. And I saw myself shutting down. And I even talked to my mom about it. And I said, but the number one thing I always tell my mom, I always tell my clients is you can't think your way out of right action. You can only act your way into right thinking. You have to take action. She's like, God, my therapist is always saying that too. And I said, well, have you tried it? She said, yeah, I exercise with you twice a week and I always feel better afterwards. I never want to, but I do it anyway. And so I was like, well, I need to get out. You want to go for a walk today, Mom? We're both depressed, you know, like we can't solve the solution for each other, but we got out and moved our bodies and immediately started to feel better. And suddenly, like, son and mother connecting again.
Ooh.
Really, really powerful. And my mom was able to share with me how she had been suicidal last year during the pandemic, even though she lived with my sister. And it just goes to show that like people can't be the solution. We really have to be the solution for ourselves. And so inside of that, that's why I love coaching and it's the difference from therapy is to like hold you accountable to be the action, to be the change for the life you want. And so inside of that, I want to talk about action today.
Let's do it.
If you're listening here, we just want to say thank you again and welcome. Please subscribe if you're on YouTube, comment below. This is a dialogue, and we would love for you to join in on
Yeah. So
this.
you guys at home, type in something that you struggle with. Anything that's from the dark side that you're dealing with, struggling with, type it in and we'll tackle it. Um, Man, I've been dancing in the light lately. I just got back, and as some of you may know, I was gone for about 3 weeks. I
We
was
have
in
missed
Mexico.
John. John has been gone for too long.
Yeah, so 20 days.
Wow.
So almost 3 weeks. And the first week I was in Puerto Vallarta, leading a retreat. And then the second week I was in Tulum leading a retreat. And then the third week I was in Tulum staying there to refill up my own cup because I knew if I got back and just holding space and serving so much, coming back to Houston where I serve my community, I may be a little low on fuel. So that was where I am, and now I'm back with a full cup and ready to. Hey, Thelma. Thelma's in Tulum right now. She's an amazing human that I got to meet while there. That really inspires me to take a leap, a big leap that we'll talk about later
Mm.
And we talk about action on the show. But I'll just give you guys a teaser. I am moving soon out of Houston to
Wow.
Tulum. So I'm thinking,
What?
yeah. So that's a big action that I am setting myself up for,
Wow.
and it's big. I've never left Houston in my whole life. Been here
Wow.
all of my life, and it's a big jump. And I think, oftentimes we don't take action due to fear of the unknown. And we
Mm.
get into the freeze mode, freezing state, which is part of the fight, flight, freeze, and fawn mechanism of
Mhm.
our nervous system. So, but taking action really does require trust.
Mm.
You have to trust, whether it's friends, support, the universe, whatever it is, that your action moving forward is supported, and
Mm.
that you might fall or you might fly.
Mm.
And if you fall, then you will learn and you will jump a little higher next time, right? And if you fly, then you fly. And that's what we're meant to do. It's just like a little baby that's a 1 year old trying to
Yes.
walk. You just go for it. Just keep walking and wobbling until you fall.
And it's about falling, and is how you learn to stand up, right? That's actually
Mm-hmm.
how you learn to walk. And this quote just hit me. If you leap, the
Mm,
net will appear.
mm, I
So
love
as
it.
oftentimes we're always waiting for that net to appear before we jump the safety net underneath us,
Mm,
right? But sometimes it's in the action that we create that safety, right? If matter's neither created nor destroyed, it's in that action. If we take one action, it actually, the whole universe works around it.
hmm. And the universe always works for us, whether
If
we
we
think
allow.
if we allow. And
Yeah.
then that's the thing of aligning to the universe, because the universe is source and we are the universe. So it's like you got to trust yourself because you are the universe and the universe is you. So it's like this cycle of trust and knowing, inner knowing that we're gods, we're creators of our experiences on this planet.
Mm, mm,
So
mm.
there we are.
Dropping some deep wisdom today. If
Thank
you're
you,
out there, you're
Benjamin.
listening, just let us know that you're there. Type yes below. And tell us one place in your life. No one's responded yet. One place in your life where you feel stuck,
Oh, I think I saw one response.
where you could use some
Oh,
action. Well, I saw someone noticing that your
I
dog
think
is sleeping on the bed, that
Maxwell.
Yoda's there.
Maxwell, I think that was the. Oh,
Yeah, it's
okay. Maybe,
Maxwell.
I thought he was talking about his dog sleeping, which is the darkness of getting out of the bed. That could be a thing too, of not wanting to get out of bed. It could be like this fog of unknown, but it could also be a dog that wants to cuddle.
That's right. Yoda just rose for the occasion.
Yes, he has risen.
So, John, I really want to acknowledge you. You said something huge. Like, you've never left Houston before, where
Hmm.
you've lived in how many years?
40 years of Houston.
40 years.
Yeah.
And what inside of that has created this? What would you say has made it possible for you to take action into something that used to really scare you?
I think since I've been on my spiritual journey, I've always felt finally that, like, man, like I want to leave Houston. Um, like I want to be somewhere very spiritual, like Bali or Costa Rica. Um, but the only thing holding me back was the fear of, like, I don't have friends there.
Mm,
Um, I don't know anyone. So it's just the fear of not having the connections.
mhm,
And yeah, because I'm a very social guy. So just being somewhere in a foreign country that doesn't speak, you don't speak the language, it's very fearful. And this past week, I was received with a lot of love in Tulum, just a lot of support. And I know that the leap is not like I'm jumping into a dark abyss. It's actually like I'm leaping into light.
mm.
It's like an unknown, like jumping into an unknown light rather than jumping into this dark, fearful place.
Wow.
And it's just perception too. Um, So yeah, but
Wow.
yeah, so that's why there's always been resistance to moving,
Mm.
was that fear of the
Mhm.
unknown.
So what made a difference in had you be able to move?
Um,
Like
just
what made
having,
it, how'd you leap?
yeah. Um, actually, so Thelma, who jumped on here, her partner, he actually said that word leap, which is so ironic that you said
Mm.
what made you take the leap. But um, just being with great people like
Mm.
Thelma and Martin, um, they allowed me to. They just kind of showed that there's a net here. They're like,
Mm.
I think her partner Martin said, "John, just take the leap. You
Mm.
know, you have to like want it in your heart, and then logically know that there's there's a system here for you, like some friends,
Mm.
uh, and knowing that the type of work that I do will actually flourish in a
Mm.
place like Tulum.
Mm.
Um, I mean, within the the day after I met them, I met another coach, and her name is Jessie Pinot, and she's just a great coach, and she wants to collaborate with me and doing um, some kind of work. She does divine women work, and I do divine
Mm.
masculine work. So, uh,
Sounds like a
already
great crossover.
it's a good crossover. So
Yeah.
there's always so much, and I love yoga. I love teaching yoga in addition to coaching. So I know that that I'm supported in Tulum with my yoga events and gatherings. So
Sounds like
just
we're going to be having a divine masculine retreat in Tulum very soon.
we definitely are, and we have a place already. So
Nice.
it's a big property. It's a jungle property, and
Mm.
there's actually a space there that says Ben Curtis's place.
Is there a surfboard over it?
um, no, there's a kite surfing board though.
All right.
If you're into kite surfing, there is my soul brother who's out there in Tulum. He is a kite surfer,
Wow.
and we'll both take you out on the water, and we will tackle fear together because I'm
Yes.
deathly afraid of kite surfing. It's this
Mm.
big, scary, challenging thing.
Mm. Mhm.
And you and I and whoever else who joins the retreat, we'll do some yoga and we'll get scared and fly around over the water
That sounds amazing.
like a pelican.
Yes. And that's actually one of the reasons I surf is to face fears of the ocean. I grew up going to the ocean about once a year, maybe, and it always terrified me getting in deep. And the things, I felt like it's not our world. It's way bigger than we are. And this is these creatures' planets. And who
Mhm.
am I? And I could be part of the food chain. And surfing actually kind of makes you part of the food chain sometimes because you can look like a meal. And they don't know till they taste you, right? But the only
Mm.
way inside of life still for me is to just go towards it, to move towards those things. I next thing I want to do is get certified in scuba diving and spend time with those things that scare me under there. I heard a guy here yesterday in Chattanooga talking about how he just got back from studying great whites, and it was terrifying, but they would literally feed them and tag them and lure them in just to study them. And I just thought, man, that's so incredible. Those are the things that I've been most afraid of. And what if I could just get up close to them, get to understand them even more? And John, I also want to, you said the word leap earlier, and I want to go back to that. That's why I brought it up. And leap is in our work, right? And some of our coaching work and talking about like, how do you take the leap, right? There's oftentimes it's not in your head, right? It's just one action out there. And if you start taking actions, then suddenly results open up. You meet new people that have you supported, right? But if you're really depressed or feel really, really stuck, it can feel like moving a mountain,
Mm.
to even get towards that action. So one of the things I want to talk about too inside of that, like you are on fire, John. You're taking so much action in your life and you're creating spaces for us to take action inside of, which is beautiful. And I had one of my meditation teachers who I've been studying with for the last year actually just asked me to do some type of collaboration around masculinity work and men's work, because most of his clients are women. and his name's Daniel Tuttle. He's incredible teacher, healer, meditation guy. And we talked about connecting the masculine, feminine, and all these things. I've been looking for new openings for action, right? And just praying for it and meditating on it. And suddenly this person came to me like they did to you, right? And we are still, every time we show up here every week, if you're listening, you're here, you're creating a new opening for action in your life just by listening, just by being with us in this moment, trying something new, being part of a new conversation. You're opening up new neurological pathways. So I tell my clients, even if you're super depressed, even if you're totally aware of all you learn about attachment styles and your trauma patterns, and you can see it all, right? And it can be really paralyzing to see all those things. And there's all this fear. You can still, the amazing thing is you can change, you can heal that. We have neuroplasticity. The brain can literally create new pathways. And it's all in one little action. It can just take one little thing. You don't have to move to Tulum. That's could be an incredible action.
That's a big leap.
And yet some people move a lot all over the world trying to find themselves, but everywhere they go, they find there they are, right? So you can move all over the world, but what moves with you is yourself. So no matter where you go, there's still an opportunity to create action, to show up and give yourself a little love each day. So I just wanted to see also, John, if there's any tools in your life where you feel like you take small actions, or on the toughest days, what are the actions you take that move you forward?
For me, setting intention is always the action before the action. Like writing down your intention. It's a small action. It's just like thinking about it. Like, I think I want to take action on this, or actually writing it down. So what I learned is journaling. It's one of my favorite tools. But writing it down, setting the intention will then put the action. It will give the action a little more accountability, and there's even a date on it. But then actually taking action on scary things. So I know for me, we do every Saturday here in Houston at the Garage Mahal, we do breath work and ice. And the ice is so scary, like submerging yourself in 50 degrees of ice water. What, are you crazy? And the practice of doing these little scary things makes fearful things not be so scary. So that's, one of my teachers taught me that, there's everything in life, whenever you're driving closer to something, it actually gets bigger, right? But did you know that fear is the only thing that gets smaller the closer you get to it? So my one of my teachers says, always look at fear, walk straight into it. It will get smaller, and it'll just, once you get so close that you can touch fear, it will disappear. And so practice fear.
Wow. Practice fear.
Yeah, practice dancing with fear, taking action around that. So
that's powerful. And as you get closer to it, let's talk about that. It gets smaller. So what do you think that is? What is it how does it get smaller as you get close to it?
Because fear actually is not real. It's false evidence appearing real. So the closer you get to it, you actually realize that it's actually nothing. It gets so small that it's actually zero, because that's all fear was in the beginning, was a zero thing. It has no, it's not real. It just doesn't exist.
It could be a neurological response, but it's something you may experience, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's there. Right?
Yeah.
So one of the things go ahead.
And I think it's the job of the ego and our parasympathetic nervous system, the sympathetic nervous system, to create the F's, the fight, the flight, fright. So that fright is the fear, and that's caused from our traumas and triggers from the past, and that sends a signal to our nervous system, and then it comes out into life as a real fear. Really, it's just like it's like a mirage, or it's like a hologram. It's not real.
So everything you're afraid of, as you get closer to it, you see is or isn't there, right?
Mhm.
There could be
Slow.
some things that you fear that could be um, things that might happen, but you don't know till you take action. And one of the things, if you're listening, I want to dare you to do is to prove yourself wrong today. Like if there's something you're afraid and you're like, yes, but I know if I do that, I know that's what's going to happen. Prove yourself wrong. Like I dare you. Try a different response. Often I have an example from my life where I did this. So last night, one of the things I'm working on in my life big time still is people pleasing. Still big for me, even with my own family. And one of the things I was working on last night, my sister had just gotten home from a trip, and I was staying with my mom and but about to leave, and we're about to move into our hotel, and it's late, and my sister was wanting to connect and excited, but also anxious, getting ready for her work day. And we're inside of my family's house, and we're sharing space, and we're transitioning in and out, and she's stressed out, and she was asking me like, I need to go through some things in the garage before you leave. And I said, well, I actually, I'm going now. I need to go home now. And she's like, well, I'm not ready, And I said, well, I really need to go now. And if you need a few more minutes, you can, feel free to, you can say what you need, but I really need to go. So I'm gonna give you a hug. And it was really scary for me, and I could feel myself. I'm sharing this because I realized I wanted to people please. I left and I felt so guilty that I wasn't showing up or trying to really take care of my sister's feelings. And I realized this is something I've been programmed with my whole life. That if just because my big sister, was like, well, I'm not ready, I took on this feeling, and suddenly I felt like something I'm doing is wrong. So I took a new action. So I tried just speaking my truth and holding my boundary with love
Mm.
and taking it from there. And however she received it or not, like it felt powerful for me. And I realized, oh, wow, this is what taking care of yourself looks like. And the more I take care of myself, the more I train the people that I've been people pleasing, who I've been taking care of, to take care of themselves. Right.
Mm.
And it shows up a lot of places still. Like I think I forgot. Oh, yeah, I forgot to change the sheets on her bed too when she got home. And so I got back and I had a phone call from her about that too. And and I was taking this on like, yeah, I'm so sorry. God, that's awful. That I was like, wait a second, just you have clean sheets. Why don't you change them? I put some on the bed for you, rather than God, you're right. And COVID, I'm so stupid. I put you at risk. And, it's just like, oh no, just do that. And the last
Yes.
thing I'll talk. Yeah, go ahead.
No, but speaking your truth is probably the biggest action you'll take.
Mm,
It to me, it reminds me of four agreements.
mm,
And four agreements, be impeccable with your word. So speaking your truth and keeping people accountable
mm.
to the truth as well as yourself. It's really big. So yeah, that's great action. That's something that it's an action that we take every day because we're always in conversation and in relations with all kinds of people, not only partners and family, but workers and friends. So that's a really good tool in our tool belt to have, is speaking our truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something that we have to, you don't have to jump in ice every day, and you don't have to jump out of airplanes or make big moves in your life, but we do have to talk to people every day. And
Mm,
in those conversations, how can we be impeccable with the word, with our word, with what we think is true or what we feel in our heart is true, so that there are not difficult conversations in the future.
mm.
Just yeah, always being in your truth.
Yeah. And that's a beautiful action you can take, speaking your truth. If you're not feeling okay today, or you're in the dark, or you feel stuck, just saying that can be enough. That can be the most powerful action you take today. Just
I
to
think
call someone and tell them.
self-care, I feel like, is also self-love and self-care, taking like a day or two or an hour or two just to carve out to really um, fill up any cup, any depletion in your body, is one of the biggest actions that we can all take,
Mm,
because it's the closest action you can take anywhere is right here. So
mm,
can I devote at least an hour a day to myself, whether it's like eating better, or talking to myself in the mirror in a loving way, um, journaling, doing yoga, or like for you, going surfing. Like these little acts of love is random, random acts of love.
Yeah.
It's a big action.
Yeah. I get depressed when I feel like I can't be by the ocean now or I surf, And actually, I'm going to uncreate what I just said because I realize our words are powerful. In the past, I've experienced sadness when I
Mm.
wake up not around the ocean. And one thing I create here in Chattanooga is there's so many trees. The city is in the mountains and it's growing, and there's so much possibility and beautiful energy and kind of, wild energy, but just so much healing forest energy. So just go meditate and sit outside. I walked in the rain yesterday. Go for a run, just something to breathe in nature. I love to, my mom has a dog. I love to take the dog out because the dog is so connected to all the sense and all the things I can't see and hear, and so absorbed with nature, and teaches me patience, right? It just wants to sniff and sniff and get all the information out of it. And it has me, deal with myself like, come on. And wait a second, where am I in a rush to? Maybe I should just stop and sniff for a second.
Yeah. Sniff the
Just
flowers, right? Just sniffing oxygen,
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah,
the
just
breath,
taking
the
a deep
breath,
breath.
right? Yeah,
In
that's
fact, if
the.
you're watching right now, I think I would like to invite all of us just to take one deep breath together. Awesome. Let's do that. Let's do that 2 more times. One more. Beautiful.
Man, it's like getting high on your own supply, really.
Yeah, man. If you did it at home and you're on Instagram, type yes if you did it. If you didn't, type no, because that's an action too. Um, so one of the things we did have someone share, and one of their fears, and if you're feeling stuck at something at home, you're watching, you're listening, please type it below so that we can talk about it. But one of the things someone mentioned was MS Astrology said fear of not having the familiar. We talked about some things where some people are feeling stuck still, and if you are, you know, a lot of things I hear clients say, I love this word unfamiliar.
Mm.
Anytime my clients or students or anyone in my life says, God, this is really hard, that's hard, or even catch myself saying, that's hard, I say, well, let's try on the word unfamiliar, right? Because maybe this thing isn't actually hard. Maybe it's just a totally new muscle that you haven't worked.
Mm.
Um, like, hey, we've been looking at buying a house this week. Buying a house is crazy, hard, difficult, complex. Yes, and there's some pretty basic steps you take. There's some pretty, once you have some things lined up, it's basically signing paperwork, walking through, having conversations, stepping into spaces, creating. It can also be exciting. And before we did it, we actually talked to so many different people in the community that we knew and didn't know who were invested us and not, just to say, what do you hear when we tell you about this place? What do you hear? And not to gauge our feelings from someone else, but to bounce off ideas, to check ourselves. And all those are each little actions of self-care, right? To know that we're not getting ourselves inside of a situation that wouldn't work, or to know that we are, right? Just to get empowered. So one of the things that Cassie and I do when we feel stuck is we get more information, right? Especially when making a decision. If there's something you're dealing with in your life where you feel like you've got to decide, like, should I move to Tulum or not? Get some more information. Look at some places there. Talk to some people who live there. Find out what a day in the life of a local is like. Find out what your hidden expenses are, and just take some action. Post on Facebook, hey, anyone live in Mexico? I'd love to talk. You'd be amazed what opens up, and then suddenly you give someone the chance to be of service to you. So taking one action, saying, hey, I'm not okay today, or I could use help, actually allow someone else to be of service to you. And that fills up their cup. And then suddenly you both feel better. So that's another action I try to take on.
That fear of the not having the familiar, Miss Astrology, who I just met last week in Tulum. She was at the retreat. It's leaving the comfort zone. And the comfort zone is so comfortable, man. It's like, it's what we know. And it's like a bird's nest, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. Like mama bird and papa bird made this beautiful nest, and you're sitting in it, you just cracked out of your egg, and you get to see sunlight and it's safe. But there's this whole other world out there beyond this nest, right? That familiar, comfortable setting. So it's like you take the leap and you fly.
Yes.
So yeah, and both Benjamin and I, you know, I love working with you, Ben, because we get to work with men who need someone to be accountable with them so that they can take leaps in their lives. You know, whether it's with speaking to their partners or quitting their job and pursuing the life of their dreams. So yeah, I love that, Miss Astrology, that fear of not having the familiar. And what's possible is the familiar is very great. It's this, right? But what's bigger than this is like everything around it. So like this possibility, the limit becomes limitless of what we can experience, grow from, share, be to receive. How much abundance can you receive outside of the familiar?
And think about how massive the planet is. Like our mindset is teeny tiny. Like there's infinite universes out there. Right. So what we don't know that we don't know, like there's the stuff we know, the familiar, there's the stuff we don't know, right? We know that we don't know it.
But every time we play in that world of unfamiliar, like, have you ever eaten the same thing and you're like, man, I love, I don't know, spaghetti. So you're like eating it, and then someone's like, John, have you ever tried like truffle ravioli? And you're like, I don't, what's a truffle? And then you eat the truffle and you're like, what? Like if I would have stayed in the familiar, I would have never tasted truffle, right? Just an example. But you guys, anyone on the show that's watching, you've been there where you love, like I love Vietnamese food because I grew up eating Vietnamese food. And then someone was like, but dude, have you had quesadillas? You know, like, what? Or have you had a really good curry at all? And you're like,
so, I remember when I'd never had sushi. I was living in New York.
Yeah.
And it was like, I was like 19. My friend like speaks Japanese. He's like, what, you've never had sushi? What? Like, yeah, I don't know.
I don't know about this weird
raw
fish,
fish.
like this raw fish. Are you kidding me? And then you try it done right, and it's just like, what? So
if we're gonna go, so I mean, last thing I'm gonna share, my wife blew my mind. Well, you know, I had popcorn, you know, I love popcorn, I love candy. And one time she just took my peanut M&Ms and she dumped them in the popcorn. I was like, oh wait, oh no. And then I was like, I put it in my mouth, like the popcorn and the peanut M, and I was like, this is genius. This is the most amazing thing ever. And so every time we go, that's what we do, because it's like the sweet and the salty,
crunchy, salty, fluffy. Yeah.
Creamy.
Whoa. Wow.
Yeah. It's like,
I think you can probably,
it's a flavor explosion.
You can box that and sell it as like like a lion's den snack or something.
There you go.
The feast of the gods.
Yes.
Popcorn M&Ms.
Yeah. That makes your stomach feel great. Let me tell you.
With truffle.
Yeah, it's painful after, but it's worth it. So going back to the unfamiliar, you know, there's the other thing in the familiar, right? We're talking about, and this is more of the darkness, like, and maybe you've heard this quote, the side you feed is the side that grows. I wrote this song about these two wolves inside of me, and I always felt like there's two sides of me, like this really sweet, like I love people, like so loving and energetic and blah. And then I felt like I have this really dark, like I used to connect to like homeless people and prisoners in New York and drug addicts. Like I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. You know, it was so confusing to my psyche. Even when I was a kid, we had someone come do a portrait of me, and they actually did two different they captured me in two different faces, like one really sweet and one kind of mischievous, because they said there was actually like I had different sides. And I'm talking about this because I do struggle with these things, and I do have darkness, and one thing that's showing up a lot in my clients and some around my life is seeing people who for whom darkness is comfortable, right? Like some of my clients come to me and they're like, yeah, I want to change, I want to get better, I'm so depressed. But so when I give them things to do, it's like, well, no, I tried that, no, I tried that, that doesn't work, I'm just stuck, and it's in that moment you're it's so clear that they're actually choosing the darkness, that it's more familiar than trying something new and getting out of the light. Say, well, maybe you tried meditating every day 10 years ago, but have you tried today? Like maybe you don't believe in the laws of the universe, but if you're suffering as much as you say you are, if you really want help, have you tried allowing, trying to imagine the universe filling you with love every day? Have you asked for that? Oh, that's woo woo crap. Okay, then keep suffering. That's what you're choosing. Because this is one other action that can and does work,
Mm.
right? You can take another action. So the other thing you want to look at is, are you choosing where you are? Sometimes this victim mentality is really empowering because we get to stay stuck. We get to be right that, oh, it's my dad's fault. Oh yeah, my parents didn't love me, that's why. Or, oh yeah, my partner's a total bitch, or my, like totally not responsible. This person, none of
Mm-hmm.
my friends show up for me. You're actually you choosing to that way. You can choose to listen to people differently. You can choose to create things differently. You can choose how you listen to people.
I wonder, why do people choose? Is it a conscious choice? Like I'm choosing to be the victim right now, or is it a subconscious reaction based out of like um, triggered nervous system trauma? And it's like
It could be
it's
programs.
trigger
Yeah, I
response.
mean,
It's a program.
yeah. We are so comfortable with here's what I like to talk about. And I just want to say, Meet Jockey just joined us. See you, brother. Thank you so much for your love and positivity as well. We see you. I like to talk about this record.
Mm.
And I think, as we were born into life, and we have some programming, right? We have some DNA, but also we're really open. We're totally open humans. And I feel like we get this like blank piece of vinyl. You're a DJ, John, you'll get this. And when life starts, you put the needle on and it starts going. And then suddenly something happens like whoop, and it like sticks there, and then it goes back to that groove, and it starts finding that, and it wears that groove,
Yeah.
and you keep playing that over time. And suddenly that
Mm.
song is way more familiar than all the other possibilities. And sometimes that coming back to that song is so familiar. It's like, whew, even if it's that weight, right? And having a coach or a friend or asking for help, or taking one little action, one of the things you're doing is you're just allowing yourself to pick the needle up for a second and place it over on another track, right? Even if it comes back, just keep picking up and putting it there. And
Mm.
suddenly you're starting to wear new grooves.
That's what that's called in DJ world. It's
What's
a
that
loop.
called?
It's a loop.
Yeah.
You can buy records that have loops in them where
Mm,
the actual vinyl is like um,
locked
engraved,
in.
locked
Yeah.
in. It's called a lock groove, and just
Mm,
keeps playing the same thing over and over and over. And that's whoa, what a life, right?
mm.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
And that can be really comfortable, and that can be enough, right? But if you are feeling stuck, you want more, there's more potential on the other side,
mhm.
you would like out of the darkness, at least for a day, there's another possibility. And by the way, being in darkness or being stuck or feeling helpless, like, there's nothing wrong with you.
I want to share that too because when we were talking, we've been talking about light and taking action, jumping, and then the topic of the unfamiliar, and then you brought up the darkness and like staying in that dark. Um, there's a song by Trevor Hall. I don't know if you guys listen to Trevor Hall, but it's you can't rush your healing. And he says darkness has its teachings,
Hmm.
and we learn so much in the dark.
Hmm.
And I feel like so much of the transformation and the changes in my life, um, the biggest breakthroughs I've ever had were rooted from darkness.
Mm,
And it's very similar to the way a butterfly is metamorphosized in the cocoon in the darkness. It doesn't make darkness a bad thing.
yeah.
Darkness is a part of life. It's we experience half of the time on this planet is dark and half of it's bright. So in that darkness, like the butterfly, the cocoon opens, the butterfly grows. So there's nothing wrong with darkness,
Mm,
but do you want to live in darkness? So
mm,
you can spend time in darkness, and
mm,
you can begin to grow, but do you want to live in darkness?
mm.
And that's where we can consciously choose. Like, okay, it's been long enough that I've been laying here in the dark, and now there's light, and I'm gonna get up and go.
Mm.
Um,
And some
and
people
that,
choose to
yeah,
live in the dark too. And that's cool. I've got a friend that's like full
I'm gonna
on.
argue with
He
that.
lives in the night.
I'm gonna argue with that. Well, they
Actually,
choose to
John,
live
I
in the
have an
dark.
argument too. Yeah.
All
You
right,
know
not
what?
an
I just,
argument, but
no, I have it already. I've already contradicted myself. I just realized something. This person, and
yeah.
even like, so I used to work in the nightlife. You worked in the DJ scene. You meet people who
Hmm.
are night people.
Hmm.
You know, they go to sleep as the rises. They wake up, they start partying, they go out all night. You know, they're living in the dark, or maybe they work through the night, or maybe they're work the night shift even. Either way,
Maybe they are the light and they're glow in the dark.
ooh, I love
Maybe
that.
there's more moon energy in them than sun
Mm,
energy, and at night the moon comes out
mm,
and lights up everything just in the softest tone, but the moon is there. It's
yeah,
consistent. It glows in the dark, and it can guide our emotions, our waters,
yeah.
right? So I think those people that live in the dark are actually the light of the moon, and they yeah, there's
Wow.
there's
Yes.
there's there's energy for that they're putting
Yes.
out. Yeah.
And if you're living in the dark, are you doing it because you're afraid of the light?
Mm.
Right. One of my friends who was actually agoraphobic. So being outside, being social, letting light in, it was almost too much for his system. It was too scary for him. But after knowing him for 10 years, we're actually in a band together. And by the end of the 10 years, he got on a plane with us for the first time. This poor guy, like, I mean, talk about being outside, being in the light all day. He had to get like pat down because he didn't have proper ID. And it was just like they were putting him through the ringer. And but what was so beautiful, I mean, he was semi-traumatized from the experience, but what was so beautiful is that we were with him the whole time. And we flew all the way across the country from New York to Seattle, and we opened for Rufus Wainwright and at the Moore Theater in front of 1,700 people. And this is one of the most shy, terrified people who lives in the night. But to watch him know and see himself okay on the other side of that experience, like even if he went back into living that way forever, he got to taste both and then could really choose and see, wow, I can live however I want despite these fears. Look at myself showing up newly, right? Because he asked for help and we went with him and we said, man, we have got you. You know, we promise we're with you. And if you're scared, that's okay. We'll be with you the whole time. So no matter what you choose, just to choose it. If you choose living in that, like, yeah, be the moon, be that light, like shine inside of the night, right? The moon, oh, it's new. It's a full moon energy now.
Today's the full moon.
Today is,
Yeah.
and we're going into I believe it's we're in Libra right now in that powerful energy. So it's a really great time to create. If you need to release stuff tonight, baby, you howl at that moon. Go outside, freak out your neighbors, get the dogs going. Uh, I challenge you to howl and release whatever you want tonight. And as you howl, create something for yourself tonight. Like what's John, what's one thing that you want to let go of and one place you'd like to turn up the light or the moon energy in your life?
Mm.
And if you're at home while John's thinking, I want you to think and write one thing you want to release and one thing you want to create.
I'm releasing the fear of rejection,
Ooh.
and what I'm calling in is love,
Mm.
and that looks like a divine goddess. That's what I'm calling it.
Wow.
My divine partner.
Dude, I just had an image of her. She's coming for you. Wow. Um, wow. Wow. Yeah, you're creating it. And I'm releasing people pleasing. And I'm creating powerful, healthy, loving boundaries in every area of my life. Yeah. So
So
again,
anyone at home,
this
type
is
in
Jared,
what you're releasing
the Lady
and
J.
yeah, what you're calling in. This is full moon energy, guys. And I encourage you to utilize the cycles of the moon to your advantage, to your alignment of
Mm,
what you're releasing and creating. It's this powerful
mm,
energy.
mm, mm. Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
I challenge you all to salute the sun every day, if you can. Make some type of sun salutation today. And also, so we're talking about moon, we're talking about sun. Another challenge is to check in with the wind.
Mm,
So get you some good breaths today.
mm.
And the last challenge I'm gonna ask everyone at home watching this is to honor the water today. Hydrate yourself. Yeah. Honor your body with all four elements.
Mm. I love it.
Yeah.
That's a good action. That's a good place to start. A good small action to take. Well, I think this is a great place to close. I want to thank you all so much for joining us again. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. If you know any friends that could use this, please share it. And please comment below. Let us know what landed today. Name one thing. If you're watching, let us know you're alive. Type something. Um, and yeah, share this with someone who could use it. That's a great action, just to tag a friend so we can get more of that out. John, what would you like to oh, before we close, Phyllis just shared something with us here on Instagram. I want to share it with all of you. She's releasing resentment and creating forgiveness and boundaries.
Mm,
I love that. Releasing
yes.
resentment. And Phyllis Boudreau Kellner, who's on here, is an incredible visual artist. So if you're on Instagram, check her out. That's a great way to express yourself too, through art.
Okay.
So we're gonna give ourselves water.
I want to close it out
We're gonna
with
honor the
something.
elements,
Okay.
the
Honor yourself
moon,
with some
and
water,
breath.
the moon. Go out and get some sun and go out and get some breath. Yeah. So since today is full moon, it's Monday, full moon. If you're at home working by yourself, or if you're at the office, wherever you are, I'm gonna ask you guys to do this with me. Just rub your hands together. And this is what my teacher, Dana Trixie Flynn, out in Brooklyn, she taught me this as the cosmic ohm. Okay, we're gonna ohm it out in the cosmic way. So keep rubbing your hands until you get the prana, the energy, the life force. Okay, open up the palms, feel that energy. We're gonna place the hands around the mouth. Take a deep breath in. Tilt the head back. Breathe in, and howl at the moon. That's a cosmic ohm for you guys at home.
That's amazing.
If you're at your office and everyone's looking at you, yay.
Yes.
And if you're at home and you howled, I can hear you. I felt it. And if you didn't howl, do it today. Just give it a try. See what happens.
Mm. John, I want to honor you. Whatever actions you've been taking in Tulum, you've come back on fire.
Mm,
And it's beautiful to connect with you today. I love you,
mm.
brother.
I love you, brother.
We will catch.
Namaste.
Namaste, y'all. Peace.
Bro.